Tuck Talk is back for another episode. Florida State basketball is on a roll. Yet another big victory by double digits over the Clemson Tigers, 80-61. Ariya, Massoudi, and Bob Ferrante joining you here as we do every week. And this time we've got a special guest. We've had a good crew of guests who have joined us this year. And we thought, you know what, we'll get a former player who I think is going to do some things in the media one day. David Nichols, I think he's got a chance to do some big-time things. David, first off, I know you're in Slovenia right now. I want to say thank you for joining us at, 10 o'clock your time over there. And just what's that experience been like so far for you in Slovenia?
It's been a good experience, a little different because of just taking it a day at a time. And it's been different for everyone. So no different than people back home having to make adjustments to lifestyles and things like that.
What's it been like for you as an alum to watch what you helped build? You guys were that really the first team that was a perennial, that top 15, top 10 team. What's it like to watch what you helped build kind of take off to the next level? Not just last year, obviously, where we all thought Florida State had a chance to win a national title, but this year where they look like, hey, man, they might be capable again of being right back there.
It's special. I was only there for a year, but I was able to build with the guys who were there before, and the guys, it's great to watch. And then just Coach Ham, Coach Jones, those guys, Coach CY, getting the credit they deserve, because Florida State has been a basketball school for years now, and it seems like people are starting to wake up. So that's always good.
No doubt about that. And so David will be on this show with us. We're going to talk about Florida State's win over Clemson. We'll take a look, too, at the Miami game and also where Florida State stands right now in the ACC because, Bob, let's start with you on this. It seems like the ACC right now, maybe not as deep as we've been accustomed to seeing. Surely when David was playing a couple years ago, there were like 8 or 9 teams that you're like, dang, they can make the Sweet 16. This year, you could blame it on COVID. You could blame it on, there are younger teams in the ACC this year. The Dukes and the Carolinas aren't quite up to where they normally are. Louisville's got a lot of working pieces that they're trying to figure out. It's Florida State and Virginia right now through about, 15 games of the season total and a few conference games. Do you think Florida State has as good of a chance to repeat as they did last year?
Oh, absolutely. I think Florida State's got all the ingredients. And like you said, circle Monday, February 15th on the calendar because that's when Virginia comes to Tallahassee. I was talking with assistant coach Stan Jones a little bit about this, for a story I'm working on for the Osceola. And, he mentioned some of the things you did, Ariya. It's pretty obvious that younger schools, younger programs who maybe recruit the one and done types or they're loaded with freshmen, they just haven't had that on-court time over the summer in the preseason, no exhibition games. Stan mentioned that typically they might have 12 non-conference games. And right now, Florida State's about to play game 12 against Miami, if my math is right. So it's a big adjustment for a lot of programs across the country. And I think Florida State has adapted really, really well in these last 4 games. That break, as much as you hate to say that a COVID break was a good thing, it was just a time to maybe reset and recalibrate for this program. So it's been good to see what they've been able to generate these last 4 games. And I think Florida State is up there with the class of the ACC, along with Virginia, maybe Virginia Tech too. It's really an upside down conference year because all those blue bloods are down. But we'll see what plays out the rest of the season too.
Yeah, and I think, by the way, Virginia Tech, for those of you who haven't seen, Tyrese Radford, I believe it's their second leading scorer, second most minutes per game, has been suspended indefinitely over there in Blacksburg. I don't want to speculate on what it was. I think I saw a news release, but I'm not 100% recalling exactly what it was, so I don't want to just speculate on that. But he is going to be out for quite a while. That's a big hit to Virginia Tech, and they've done a good job of kind of making this little push in the ACC over the last few years. I know they started out really hot last year and kind of fizzled off, but Coach Young does a really good job. I remember he was at Wofford before, and they had a great program that he had built. So, yeah, Florida State and Virginia, and part of the reason this surge is happening 80-61 over Clemson. The offense for the fourth straight game is at a different level for Florida State. David, when you look at this team, and you've been able to watch some of these games over the last couple weeks, what has happened to the Florida State offense that's allowed them to take that step forward?
Well, I think, in my opinion, the bringing Scotty Barnes off the bench was a great move, because what it did is it took a lot of pressure off of him, and everyone's saying, okay, Scotty, you're the guy, you're the point guard, go create, go do everything. When in reality, the Florida State offense is equal opportunity. The ball needs to be moving side to side. Raquan Gray can initiate the offense. MJ Walker can initiate the offense. Anybody 1 through 4 can come off a ball screen and initiate the offense. So when bringing Scotty Barnes off the bench is it allowed just more ball movement, and it took a little bit of pressure off him, I think. And I think we've seen that in the last 4 games, because the ball's been flying from side to side. Everybody's getting involved, and he's playing the same amount of minutes. And, I mean, we know it's not going to hurt his draft stock. It's not going to hurt him personally, because Patrick Williams, number 4 pick, coming off the bench. Fiondu Kabengele, first-round pick, coming off the bench. So them just changing up roles and switching that a little bit just has allowed the offense to flourish. And Raekwon Evans just being more aggressive has also helped out a lot.
Yeah, Bob and I had been calling for Ray Evans to kind of just step up, because I think coming into this year, why so many of us felt confident that Florida State wouldn't drop a beat from last year while they could still be an Elite Eight, Final Four type of contender, is because we felt comfortable with what Ray Evans could do with the ball in his hands. And I know it took him a few games to kind of get going. And credit to Leonard Hamilton, because it seems every January, no matter what, the year turns and FSU starts playing better basketball. And it's amazing how guys just come into their own, they come into their roles. And to David's point on Scotty, Scotty's starting to do the one thing that would help increase his draft stock, and that's he's hitting the 3 ball. And he's now up to about 31%. And you got scouts salivating at a guy 6'9" who plays like Magic Johnson, who plays like Dr. J. Irving. He looks smooth at 6'9", hitting the 3-point shot. Let's also talk about Turk's Raekwon Gray's emergence in this offense, because David, I know was he playing when you were there, or was he on the practice squad? Was he redshirting?
He redshirted the year before I got there. He was playing when I was there.
Playing. So you've known, I mean, that's a big body that can handle the basketball, has pretty high IQ. Could you see this coming for Raekwon Gray? Did you know that if he kept working that this type of player could eventually happen?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just like one of those behind-the-scenes things. Like, guys like Devin Vassell, they're like, oh, he came out of nowhere. But guys who are there every day with him are like, no, Devin Vassell has been that. Raekwon Gray has also been that. But you're playing in the system with 10, 11 guys, and then him being a younger guy when I was there. But he always had this capability, and he's really shown improvement a lot of times in an open court. Maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, it's going to be a charge. It's going to be offensive foul. He's going to lose the ball. This year, so much more under control. He's finishing in the open court a lot better. Him and MJ Walker as well. When they get downhill, it's no longer, oh, boy, here we go. It's, all right, they're about to make a good play. And it just shows the development and them just really coming into their own and playing up to their potential.
Yeah, that's just one player to the puzzle, right? I mean – Bob, you were covering the game against Clemson on Saturday. The balance and the depth of this FSU team, I think, when you think of Leonard Hamilton, you knew you had depth. I mean, David was coming off the bench, and David was a quality, could start at a lot of schools around the country. He came to Florida State to win and to go to the NCAA tournament and be able to win some games there. But does this team, Bob, have more quality depth? Guys that can, on any given night, not just give you good minutes and give you high energy and fill a role, but I feel like there are like 8 or 9 guys that could go for 20 on this team on any given night. Can you just talk, Bob, a little bit about how hard it is to scout a Florida State team like that?
And I think we also have to mention Anthony Polite is still out with a shoulder injury. He's missed, 2 games, and he's likely to miss another, let's say 2 or 3, depending on just how quickly he comes back. So then you're adding on one more name of a guy who's typically a starter. But yeah, I mean, you look down the scouting report, you can take away a couple of guys. You can try to emphasize on, let's say, MJ Walker, or yeah, of course, everybody knows what Scotty's going to do. But then do you have a body to match with Raekwon Gray? Or do you have a big body against Balsa? And Balsa, congrats to him with his first double-double. He'd been kind of knocking on the door of that throughout the season. Yeah, this is a really tough scout for a lot of opponents, not just how do you come up with a plan, but do you have the X's and O's? Do you have the bodies to actually do it on the court? And we've seen, frankly, I think Florida State only loses when it kind of screws up, when it's turnovers or foul trouble or free throw misses. It's in all apologies to opponents, it's more of a Florida State mess something up and not so much, great play by the opponent. And that sounds kind of weird, but I think this is just a sign of a really good team. They're going out there every night and just playing some great basketball.
Yeah, we've talked about this. When David was playing with Florida State, that team had a lot of older guys, right? You had some veterans who had been through the gauntlet of college basketball in their career, the Kofers, the Mans. You had Fiondu Kabengele, who could get his own shot. David, really, I thought towards the end of your year there with Florida State, you were getting more comfortable kind of being iso ball if you needed to. I know we always joke about the Virginia game and what you did to K. Clark, but that was just I think that was a sign of your growth within Tallahassee and being comfortable in your role by that point of the season. I look at this team and Nathaniel Jack can go off for 20 on a night. I mean, Nate Jack might play 5 minutes some nights. Wyatt Wilkes can go off for 15. In another game, he's not going to play more than 8 or 9 minutes. You might have Tenor and Gam give you 10 points and 6 rebounds. And on another night, Tenor's not going to play more than maybe 6 or 7 minutes. It's amazing to me how on any given night, the game plan could change. And this FSU team could have a different answer. And that's what I think Brad Brownell was saying in the postgame for Clemson. He was saying they're really hard to play because once Florida State gets going, they're impossible. It's impossible when FSU's playing with confidence to be able to do anything about it other than your team getting hot from beyond the arc and hitting some three-point shots too. This team right now, Bob, is playing better than probably everyone except 5 teams in the country. I know they're getting disrespected still. 16th. There are not 15 teams better than Florida State right now. I watched Texas Tech and West Virginia last night, and I'm watching them going, man, FSU would smack both of these fools in the mouth. And they both have 4 and 5 losses on the year. So give me a break. But as David knows, David, and I'm going to throw this question to you. How much is a comfort zone for FSU basketball to kind of be in that disrespected zone? Like, you guys seem to thrive when people aren't giving you the love that you feel like you deserve.
Well, I mean, we're very comfortable operating in that space, but what people gotta realize is that rankings are so subjective. So let's say FSU started the season at number 6 and we had 2 losses. We still be a top 10 team right now. But I think, and that's part of the whole new bloods thing. Like, those blue bloods, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. It took Kentucky to lose 4 games to be unranked. If FSU started the season 1-4, you would not hear Florida State mentioned ever again unless they went to the Final Four. But that's the instant credibility those programs get. So, I mean, it's always a lot of disrespect. Anytime you take a team that we beat last year and then we bring back more guys than they bring back and more guys than they bring in, and you look at the rankings and you're like, we beat them twice last year, we bring back more, they're still ranked ahead of us in preseason. That's the head scratchers. That's what I don't get. And I guess being a big name, I guess, gets you. But, I mean, a lot of schools get more respect that have been good of lately. Texas Tech has been very good of lately, but, I mean, 3 or 4 years ago they weren't. But they had one good year, and now they're getting the benefit of the doubt. It seems like it takes certain schools 1 or 2 good seasons to start to get that benefit of the doubt. But Florida State has had 5 or 6 in a row, and they still don't get it.
Yeah, and David, keep this with you here because it just takes me to my next point. I was talking to Coach Jones before the season started. He actually came on the show, and we did like a 25-minute sit-down with him. And he said, I feel very comfortable with this group, and it's because I have 7 or 8 guys that have had 400 to 500 practices in college basketball. These guys have been through a lot of down locker rooms, a lot of upbeat locker rooms. They've been blown out. They've blown people out. They've been in tough losses. They've delivered tough losses. What can you say about just experience in college basketball and how it ends up winning? Because patience has to be the name of the game with anyone in college basketball. And I know people were kind of panicking at the beginning of the year after the UCF game, and FSU didn't play well against Gardner-Webb and then lost to Clemson. But they're all starting to come around right now at the time that you really want to. And that's, once you get into February, you want to be playing really good basketball. And I think it has a lot to do with having a lot of veterans.
For sure. I mean, and then if you want to look at our year in particular, outside of the Duke game when they hit that buzzer beater, if it was a close game with 4 minutes left, we knew we were going to win. But overtime, we knew we were going to win. Like, it was no doubt in our minds that we would win. And I think that came with experience. You never slide. I think it was an LSU game. We ended up winning in overtime. They might have hit a three to go up like 8 with like a minute and a half left. And you call a timeout and you see no panic. Like, it was surreal. It was like everybody's just comfortable. Like, yeah, okay. Like, we're going to find a way to win. Like, they're going crazy celebrating and we're just no panic. Like, and I mean, that year, I don't think that we lost a close game outside of that Duke game. Just because we had so much experience, guys who'd been there before, and just faith that our playing style is going to eventually wear down on the opponent. And in those last 4 minutes, something's going to give, and we're going to come out with a victory.
Yeah, and that was always something, the hallmark of what Leonard's built, I think, over the last few years is it carried into last year, right? I mean, you had a good feeling if Trent had the ball in his hands with a minute or less, Florida State was going to have something good happen. Yep. And I think you guys, maybe even the year before you guys, your team, the team that beat Xavier and had to kind of come back and have a gut check moment late in the season. But Florida State, I think now is known as that gritty, late game, calm, poised team that you don't want to be in a tight battle with a minute left in a game, because more times than not, Florida State, I know Chuck put something out, Bob. It was like, how many overtime games in a row has Florida State won? Do you know, Bob? I feel like you've written 10. That in an article. 10 overtime games in a row?
Yeah, I think Trent had 9 during his career, which is just nuts.
It's nuts. And I mean, you would just think the law of averages in basketball, like, at some point, one of your shots isn't going to go down, and the other. Well, I guess maybe the Clemson game last year when was it Alamir Dawes hit the little like scoop reverse lay-in that I couldn't believe he made that, because I thought Trent had won the game for Florida State there at the end. So yeah, I mean, FSU's just been so good down the stretch, and they knocked off Clemson. And I think, Bob, you and I covered that game. Part of the reason they were able to beat Clemson was they have been shooting the 3-ball really well. This team has 7 or 8 guys, I think, that can spread the floor. How much fun has it been for you to watch a team? Because this might be Leonard Hamilton's best shooting team he's ever had.
Yeah, it feels weird to say that because they've had some really good shooting teams. I mean, I always think back to like Dulkis and all those great 3-point shooters through the years. I feel like almost everybody among those core, say like 8 to 10 guys, can shoot a 3. I mean, like, you wouldn't want Balsa to, but I think he could if you give him a little bit of time to do so. I mean, Raekwon can do it. Of course, we know Wyatt can. Ray, Walker, MJ, of course. Malik Osborne is a great jump shooter for a big, a 4 who's playing the 5 a lot. Scotty's got an improving jump shot. Sardar, we know, can knock him down. Nate Jack. I mean, my goodness. So it just it opens up the court, I think, is what's really cool. It just opens up your options. It makes it easier for you to kind of dribble, drive, and kick it back out. Or, if you want to throw it down in the post and get Balsa some touches, because you've just got so many options out on the court, no matter what your lineup is. It's not just a couple starters or a couple backups. It feels like, I like to say line change when we see so many guys come on the court at one time. But I feel like even when there's a line change, you're really not seeing that much of a drop off as far as, production, but like what you can do inside and outside.
Hey, Ham used to say, I remember, we might not have a better 1 through 5, but I bet you we got a better 1 through 12. And that to me is like, and David knows this from having been, on the team, and you came off the bench, a part of like some really good, I mean, you and Fiondu, when you guys would come in together, and that 6 through like 10 for Florida State is way better than a lot of teams 6 through 10s. It's like that second unit and I don't even like calling it a second unit because minutes at Florida State is what matters. It's not really about who starts and who doesn't. But like when that second wave comes in for FSU, that's the word I'll use, wave. It's like teams have no idea how to respond to that. And they have no idea how to adapt to having 10 guys essentially that come in and can give you minutes. And David, how unselfish, like you were in it, how unselfish is everyone in that program? Because it feels like there's just no egos. Everybody roots for each other, from the walk-ons to the green squad, to the bench, to the guys who are on the bench. It's just like everybody comes in and they're just they'll play 3 or 4 minutes really hard, and they have no problem saying, "Coach, I need you to take me out. I think this guy needs a little bit of burn too."
Yeah, I mean, and they preach that. They preach play as hard as you can for as long as you can, come out, and you're going to go right back in a couple minutes. And, I mean, I think that's a unique thing we had. 1 through 18, everybody's holding each other accountable. If an outsider from the program came in and sat on the bench, he'd probably be sitting there in shock when you see Justin Lindner yelling at Trent Forrest about missing an assignment. It's like, that's your walk-on starting to your future NBA point guard like that. But you just take it, you accept it, and you keep going. And it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter red shirt, starter, backup. It doesn't matter. Everybody holds each other accountable. And, I mean, it's just the ultimate unselfishness, because if you win, everybody wins. And, I mean, that's just the culture, and everyone's bought in. And I tell people a good example, the Miami game, when we played them at home, I might have had 15, 16 points, led us in scoring. We win that game. We go down to Miami. I don't take a shot, and we win that game too. I'm fine. It's 2 wins, 2 completely different games. But I mean, it's just the culture that we built. Like I played 20 minutes and I didn't have to take a shot, and we won, and I had no problem with it. Because at the end of the day, when one win, we all win. And I mean, you never seen guys get more excited than the person scoring. Like somebody else hits a 3, you would think, I won an NBA championship the way I'm celebrating. I hit a 3, and you see Terrence jumping up and down like he just put somebody on the poster. I mean, it's a great thing to see.
How much do you guys love when T. Light, Travis Light, or Justin Lindner get some points? Because I look at the bench and you guys are mosh pitting over there. T. Light had a big time shot against Louisville. He was flashing his skills, and then Lindner with a nice little alley oop to Quincy Ballard there against Clemson. Do you get just as hyped still looking at that stuff now and watching that? And I know you're watching it on TV, but you see some of those guys that you played with who are so important to this team because of the culture, and they get a few minutes to shine too.
For sure. I love those guys. I love T. Light, Justin, Will, Harry, all those guys. I love to talk to them almost every day. T. Light is a knockdown shooter, and Justin Leonard is so he's so good. Like I feel like he could play at a mid-major, a low major very, very easily. Like he's a very good basketball player, and you see it in flashes. Like he'll go in, he'll throw a lob pass out of nowhere. He'll get a tough scoop layup. He'll ISO somebody, maybe one of their starters is still in the game late. He'll bring him out, ISO him, and hit a 3. And everybody's like, oh, it's the walk-on. It's like, no, like he's good. Like he can play. And so, I mean, I'm always super happy for those guys when they go in and show what they can do.
Yeah, and Bob, this team right now, guard play was something that they were playing well in the guards, but I think the losses that they started to have and playing poorly back in December, well, you and I talked about needing more from the bigs. We talked about Osborne needed to take a step forward because we were all confused as to why Malik wasn't giving you what we expect, what he was giving you last year at times. And Balsa was struggling in moments to figure out who he was and how to kind of assert himself with more minutes and more percentage of possessions that he's been asked to have. But over the last 4 games, I mean, Malik Osborne's the heart and soul of this team. You can tell. I mean, that's the energy. That's the tone setter. the block that he had on Tyson for Clemson. What? Like that right there is the minute I knew Florida State was going to rock Clemson. It was in that moment that I said Clemson has no shot tonight, y'all, because if FSU was locked in and they had the revenge factor on their minds from the last time they played the Tigers, it wasn't happening. And then you get Balsa, who, man, Malik and Turk call him Baby Joker. I mean, he looks like he is looking like Jokic over there, man, over in Denver. And David, I'm going to ask you in a second about him because you get an opportunity to play against, I think, some guys that are similar to Koprivica over in Europe. But Bob, for this FSU team, if Balsa's playing at that level, that takes the Noles to a different level, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, how many 7-footers with ball handling skills in the open court are there? And yeah, I think we all were just kind of curious when the light switch was going to kind of turn on for some of these guys. I think, I hate to cop out and say it again, I just think part of it was COVID and on court time. These guys just needed the time together to build the chemistry, to get comfortable again in what was going on, and just to just kind of relax and feel good about what you're doing day to day, get back in that routine. And really, we saw once this team got back together, I mean, Malik has put together 4 really, really good games, and Balsa's rebounding, better than we've seen in the past. Improving as a help side defender too. We have to, what was the key to the Clemson game, for example? Like Clemson up there was able to dribble drive on Florida State, and immediately on Saturday, they couldn't get the ball in the lane and do anything against Seminoles. I think it's just because the defense collapsed on those drivers so fast, and then the Tigers weren't hitting jump shots, for example. So, we, like you said, we have seen the bigs starting to play the way we thought that they really can. And I think that's what's the excitement of this program is you kind of see where the trajectory is now as they build toward February and March.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And Bob, I know you got to bounce to go pick up your daughter. Dad duties call again. You are a hero, sir. Go do your thing, and appreciate you as always.
I like to give these bench minutes and kind of let, last week it was you and Adrian. Now it's you and David. I feel like we've really upped the athleticism on this podcast significantly when I leave the game. So it's all yours, gentlemen.
I appreciate you, Bob. And we'll talk to you next week back here on Tuck Talk. All right, David, so I'll throw that same question to you. When Balsa's playing at this level for FSU, what does that do for the team? And can you give us some of your experiences playing with some of the European bigs that you get to go up against in Slovenia?
Balsa's game is unique. Usually when you see guys doing what he's doing, they end up back in the States. It's simple as that.
League him, right?
Or they play EuroLeague, Euro Cup. Balsa's going to make a lot of money in basketball, whether he goes back home or stays in the States.
And that was another question I had for you too. Obviously, Balsa was like a top 60 recruit coming out of high school. Like people knew who he was. Like he went to Montverde and he was highly recruited and sought after. He's starting to just come into his own, I think, of just being comfortable and being who he is. But speaking of playing in Europe, can you just kind of touch on, I think a lot of people don't understand that, like, you can go and play outside of the United States and make decent money and like make a living and see the world and travel a little bit. What would you say to players that, maybe they're not going to get an NBA shot, but, and I'm not saying that you won't, because you could keep working to get your NBA shot, but what is life like playing basketball not in the United States?
What I would say is do your research. Talk to guys who played out there. Really look into certain countries and certain situations you're going to. And that's what this year for me has been all about, just doing research, figuring out career trajectories, and just taking it step by step of what I need to do to get to where I want to be out here. And so, for me, that's the most important part. But it's unique. You're going to be in a new country every year, most likely, different culture, different styles of play, different type of people, different kind of basketball. So, just be open, keep an open mind, but for sure do your research. There's a lot of good basketball over here. And I mean, I've been trying to kind of bridge that gap for the Florida State fans and just show them what the guys that have come before me have been doing out here and been doing it at a very high level, because we got a lot of no's playing high level basketball in Europe, making a good living.
Go ahead and plug that site. This is your chance right here. Where can they find your work?
Twitter, the official BGU. I mean, and if you want to follow the guys playing in Europe, that's the place to go on Twitter, because I'm tweeting out stats of each game, giving updates if they're on the move, and then coming up in these next couple weeks, I'm gonna start highlighting individual players and individual countries and just explaining the different playoff systems, the different schedules that they play, because it changes from country to country, and it's very unique, and it's not like the United States at all. Like, there's no reward for losing. You finish last in the league, you don't get a first-round draft pick. You go to a lower level, and that impacts everything. It impacts the community. There's no tanking in Europe. I mean, and that's why it's so cutthroat and it's highly competitive. But, I mean, for sure, if you want to learn more about just European basketball in general, and then follow the guys and what they're doing, and then hopefully these next couple weeks I'll get everything figured out where I can be tweeting out game links so you can watch the guys play, finding ways, the free way, because some you have to pay, but there's some certain leagues where you can find it for free, maybe on YouTube Live or different stuff like that. So I'm doing my research, getting that together, and hopefully I'll bring that to you guys in the next couple weeks.
Can you educate to some of the fans here about just how much passion there really is overseas too about the game of basketball? Because I know especially it varies, right, from league to league. But there are some leagues where like that community shuts down for that game. And I know right now with COVID, it's a little bit different, but on a normal year, there's a lot of passion in Europe for the game of basketball.
Definitely. The biggest clubs, I mean, you might think of soccer teams when you hear about Real Madrid and FC Barcelona, but they go crazy for basketball too. Luka was on Real Madrid, Luka Doncic, and that's where he got his name, being, I think, the youngest EuroLeague MVP ever. And so that's where he kind of got his start. And I mean, his whole city, whole communities behind one team, and just depending on the success of that team. Because like I said, if you have a bad season and you end up dropping down to a lower tier, a lower league, like, that community is going to take a financial hit. Like, it's really like, it's the lifeblood for some in some countries and for some teams, and winning literally is everything, even more so than the States, where I feel like it's nice if your team is winning, but you don't need them to win. Like, out here, like, some places, like, they literally need them to win and to be successful, and so they're putting everything behind it.
Yeah, and we'll wrap this up and do just 5 more minutes here. I want to get your thoughts before we move on to the Miami game and just kind of preview that for these fans. What has impressed you most about this Florida State team specifically?
I mean, just the way they responded to those, to the UCF loss, to the Clemson loss, during that 2-week break. I know they spent a lot of time together, figuring a lot of things out. So to me, just them just blocking out all the outside noise, them being unranked for week after week and just putting their head down and going to work. And I mean, the depth of this team, the unselfishness of Scotty Barnes to take that role off the bench, and he's just thriving in it. He's still on all major awards short list. Like, he's had no fall off. If anything, he's improved. So just that shows what kind of guy he is. And then just guys stepping up. Raekwon Evans, Dars had good games. Nate Jackets had good games. Boss has improved a lot. And, I mean, everybody's just staying ready. I mean, it's showing that the culture there is as strong as ever. I mean, it's just another classic Florida State team. I think we'll be looking back at it and say that was just another classic Florida State team. It's going to be a 20-win-plus team with a shot to make a deep run in the tournament.
Yeah, no doubt about that, David. And as we look to the next two games for Florida State, it looks like Miami will be. We're recording this right here on Tuesday, so we'll release this on Wednesday, and the Noles will be playing Miami at home that night, 6 p.m. tip-off. It's not a great Miami team. They do present some challenges with their guard play. I don't know if Chris Likes will be back in time to play against Florida State, but it's a Miami team that's ranked 99th by Ken Palm. Not a great offense. Okay defense. They're 67th in the country in defensive efficiency, but their offense has been abysmal. They can't shoot the basketball well. They turn the ball over at a pretty high rate. They don't rebound, and not really a whole lot that they do well when I look at their numbers. Defensively, they're okay. They protect the rim a little bit. They're top 40 in the country in block shots, and they do cause some turnovers and don't foul a whole lot. Matter of fact, only 4 teams in the country have fouled less than the Miami Hurricanes, but they've lost 2 in a row, 3 of their last 4, and the computer metrics have Florida State as a 88% favorite and winning by about 13 points at home. So this could very well be another double-digit type of win for Florida State. Harlan Beverly, a name you need to know. Cameron Wong has been playing really well for them. And again, I don't know if Likes will be back. I know McGusty just came back. He's been an important piece, but David, if Florida State plays its game, like, you have to feel good that, like, the rest of the season at home, at least, they should be able to take care of business.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to hold serve in conference and just wait on that Virginia game. In terms of winning the conference regular season, I feel we can't drop a game before we see Virginia. And I think these next 2 games will be really important because now that whole Florida State, the best unranked team, all that good press, there's expectations now a little bit. I mean, the guys who know what this team was and what this team was going to be, those expectations have been there. So I don't think that'll affect them too much. For them, it'll just be just a number next to their name. They're the same team with the same goals and the same expectations. But these next 2 games will be very important in just proving everybody right now, because we proved everybody wrong. So now it's time to prove them right.
Yeah, and then the next game that they play, and the reason I'm previewing Georgia Tech as well is because we won't have a podcast until early next week. So the Noles, it's a Georgia Tech team. They'll travel to play at McCamish Pavilion on Saturday. Georgia Tech's playing a lot better than when Florida State faced them back in December. I think FSU won that game comfortably. December 15th, 74-61. Yeah, FSU won. Yeah, 13 points. And I think I remember that was a weird game where it was like a lot of wild runs. Like Florida State got up by 15. Georgia Tech went on like a 15-0 run to tie it. Then FSU went on another 15-0 run with like 8 minutes left to kind of put that game away. But as experienced teams do, and that's been kind of the theme of this podcast with David today, Georgia Tech's the 4th most experienced team in the country, David. They're averaging about 2.6 years of college basketball experience. They don't play a lot of bench minutes. Matter of fact, only about 15 teams in the country play more of their bench. And they returned 75% of their minutes from a season ago. So a lot like the year that you joined when you came to Florida State and you had already played a lot of college basketball yourself. That was an FSU team that had a lot of experience playing together. Georgia Tech started pretty poorly this year. They lost to Mercer and Georgia State, and people could not believe what was going on because they got like 5 seniors on their team and a bunch of transfers. I don't understand why it's not going well. But then we found out that Josh Pastner was having non-contact drills only for the first 3 weeks of practice. Like they were not doing contact drills. And he switched that up. Yeah. He switched that up, and immediately Georgia Tech went on they beat Kentucky, and I think they went on, other than the FSU game, David, they won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of their 8 games, and then just had a 5-game win streak snapped in a absolute heartbreaker to Virginia. They were up 11 at Virginia with 5 minutes left, and Virginia went on this run to take the lead. Kahei Clark hit a shot late. Gosh, I hate that kid's tough, man. That's a good basketball player, Kihei Clark,
Good.
but he really is. He's tough, and I know you've gone up against him one-on-one. That's a tough guard. But then Michael DeVoe had a three-point opportunity for the win, and it rimmed in and out. So Georgia Tech's playing really good basketball right now. It's an older team. They are the third best team in the ACC in three-point percentage. They're hitting about 38% as a team. Their offense is top 40. The defense has not been as good as it's normally been under Pastner. But this is going to be a road game against a team that's confident. And David, you played against Georgia Tech. You know they like to run that weird 1-3-1 type of trapping zone, 2-3 trap zone that they like to force you guys into the corner. What does Florida State have to do in that game again to be successful like they were the first time?
It's just all about how we attack the zone. It's going to be a lower scoring game, a slower pace. It always is against them. But I think if we run our zone offense like we're capable of, I think we'll be fine because we've had a lot of success against them, against Syracuse, teams that play primarily zone. I think that we figured something out to have a lot of success against teams like that. I'm not sure when the last time we dropped one to Georgia Tech or Syracuse was, but in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of success against teams that play primarily zone. So, I mean, if they move the ball like they've been doing, it might follow the same script as these last couple games where Florida State gets out to this big lead and then it's just kind of we coast from there.
Yeah, and I think the way that Turk has evolved this season, usually against his zone, right, you want to have somebody who can do damage in the middle of it. Turk's ability to hit that floater now, and our ability to have, I think, Balsa in the weak post, the short corner area, to just kind of take advantage of the soft spots. And David, you know this better than anyone. To beat a zone, if you can shoot the three ball, that'll bust a zone quick. And I think this Florida State team could.
Yeah, I think we'll put Scotty in the middle of the zone as well. Mm-hmm. I can see that happening, and then just having literally 4 shooters around him, or 3 shooters in Boston in that short corner, like you said. That's going to be tough to guard.
Yeah. So Florida State, Georgia Tech on Saturday, Florida State, Miami on Wednesday. The computer metrics say against Georgia Tech this time, the Noles have a 61% chance of winning that one, but they do think it'll be a close game, 3 or 4 point game over in Atlanta. So should be fun. Two experienced teams playing good basketball right now. You hope Florida State doesn't have that letdown game. I don't think they will at home against Miami. That's still a high energy game for FSU. That still means something to a lot of those players to play the Canes. And so I don't think it'll be a problem at all for FSU. David, any last comments from you? Because we appreciate you coming on here for sure, man.
Oh, no, I mean, just appreciate you having me. I love talking basketball. I love talking FSU. So it's been fun. I always enjoy doing these.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And we, again, appreciate you coming on, this insight that you're able to bring. I hope you had fun. And we'll have you on again at some point, maybe down the road here in the season, and maybe Noles will be in the tournament somewhere. So continued best luck to you, best wishes in Slovenia. Keep balling over there, and we'll be looking forward to reading your work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, for Bob Ferrante and David Nichols, former Florida State basketball player, I'm Ariya Massoudi. Tuck Talk is on Apple Podcasts. Please make sure that you subscribe, give us 5 stars, and share this with your friends. And continue to read the great work that Bob, Jerry, and Pat have been doing at the Osceola as well. Again, thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.